Welcome to GCCars. My name is Eric and this is the 2021 Honda CR-V Black Edition. So top trim, everything you can get. And first of all, of course, Honda, welcome to the channel. Nice to have you guys here. And they asked me what kind of cars do I want to have, and we do have the all-new Civic coming early next year. But I couldn't pass up on the opportunity on, well, getting the Honda CR-V because, well, it's one of the best-selling vehicles on the road. You can see them everywhere. So I kind of need to know how good it is, right? We need to check that out. There's a new generation coming, 2023 model year, so next year in 2022 it's going to come out. This is a 2021, like I said, black edition, so it's a top trim, and we're going to take a look at it today. Look at the exterior, interior, see how it drives, sum it all up, and see if it's worth the money or if you should go with the competition. Let's go and get started with the exterior, shall we? So first of all, this is painted in platinum white pearl, and I can indeed confirm to you that this is white. Yeah, there's not much to say about the color. No, it's nice. There's some pearly, flaky here, and I must say, like, this design, like I said, it's due for a new generation. It's actually kind of old, but it holds up really nicely. I think it's a very, very good-looking SUV. It's a little, well, the CR-V has always been a little quirky, let's be honest. So it is a little quirky up front, I think, but I like the headlights just kind of run into this grille. We got the big Honda logo, and right over here, then we got our 19-inch wheels that we got with the black edition, of course, in, well, black. Black edition gives it black trim, as the name says, and I think it looks really good. Moving further over to the side, we got some black plastic and some chrome trim, just to, as always, heighten visual mass, shrink the vehicle a little. Looks good. Black plastic trim just makes this all look like a one continuous piece. I like that a lot. And then we go to the rear, which is always kind of like a thing on the CR-V. It used to have like this very typical CR-V, like this kind of bump, but it is mostly gone nowadays because it just looked awkward and just doesn't really fit into modern design. This, on the other hand, I think looks just like the front, pretty sharp overall. We got some nice angles in there, we got some good designs, nothing is really boring, there's some good stuff going on. And I like the black edition badge, especially on the white. Looks really good. Oh, and also the exhaust. Like, I find the exhaust outlets pretty interesting because they look like very sporty for a CR-V. Not complaining, I like it, I just found it interesting. And yeah, you can also get it in black if you want to have the black on black logo. That's one of two paid color options for this CR-V. And there are no free options. There's no free color. So I don't know why there's only two paid options, and just put it in the price. And I don't know. But I like it in white. But I said it's a couple of years old. So the more important thing is probably how the inside, right? Also, we have buttons here which obviously don't work right now, but you don't need to touch anything on your key. You can just put your hand in, unlocks. Really nice. Always like to have that. Okay, so now on the inside of the 2017 CR-V, and this is where you start noticing the age a little bit. Specifically, the center console, the center stick, is really aging the interior of the CR-V. Just like these days, nobody does like shifters like this anymore because it's just outdated. The infotainment too, it works. Isn't the slowest, I'll be honest, but it just doesn't look the part. And nope, no music. It doesn't look the part, and it's just, like I said, it's not super fast. Like, it's usable, but dated. But that's about as much as criticism as I have, really. Other than that, it's actually still really nice. Materials are soft, especially here. Super nice, super soft materials. Of course, a few plastics, but that's fine. We got some plastic that has like a wood trim on it, wood looking trim. Heated seats, memory seats, they're very comfortable. I love how they look in the black edition, and the label on it looks great. The driving position itself is really, really good. In my driving position, I'll show you that when we're driving. And other than that, usability, like I said, once the steering wheel, once again, doesn't really look like super new, but usability is really good. Our gauges look kind of outdated, but work really well, very clear, a lot of information on that. Really good, probably the best wireless charging port or wireless charging pad I've had in a car so far. First of all, it perfectly fits my S21 Plus with phone case. If you have an Ultra or like an iPhone 13 Pro Max or whatever they're called, it might be a little tight, might not work, but it's still, like, for me, perfect. We got phone outlet, USB outlets, we can have Android Auto, Apple CarPlay wired, so usability is really good. Just a couple quirks here I want to mention up front. We have like a tiny little mirror up here. We can used to kind of monitor whoever's sitting in the back, or maybe a little bit of a blind spot monitor. I'm not quite sure. I think it's for monitoring the back. And then we have this really quirky center console, which is open. So it's just like more like a center HUD. It's not really a console, but this bottom row can slide it back, so you can have like a complete compartment down there, which is actually pretty big. And the cool thing is, we can even, just for visualization, put that up, put the whole bottom thing up. So now we have like a big area here where we can store like huge items. That's actually really cool. Just a tiny little thing I wish would be very cool. I like this. But if like the front part, the sled slides, if that could kind of come up to close the center console, perfection if that works. But other than that, very quirky. Never seen that before, but I like it. But no, honestly, this is dated, yes, but usability is good. Materials are good. I like it. But let's take a look at the second row. First of all, look how wide this door opens. 85 degrees. This is great, especially if you're a parent and you have like child seats you want to put in and out. You're going to love this. You are going to love this. But let's get in. Side of the second row. Like I said, this is not my seating position. This is significantly further back than I sit. I'm 5'7", but I do have plenty of room. Really good foot room as well. Leg room, head room, really good. Seating itself is comfortable. Materials are still very nice and plush for the most part, except for, of course, at parts where you don't really touch that much, and then it gets to pretty rough plastic. That is fine. Stereo I didn't talk about yet. It's alright. I've had better ones, I'll be honest, but it'll get the job done. But other than that, it is comfy. We have heated seats here in the Black Edition. It's nice. Of course, there's sunroof, plenty of views out of that one. And if you need connectivity, we get USB. 2 of them right here, covered, so if you spill water in the back, it won't destroy your ports. So there we go. And of course, we do have cup holders right here, and look at how plushy this is. Very nice and plushy, very nice and soft, very comfy. Lastly, storage back here. Couches just on that side, not on the driver's side, unfortunately. And lastly, I said that too early, we can recline a little bit. Not too much, but a little. Yeah, this is good. There's plenty of room. I'm very comfortable at 5'7". This is good, really good. Let's take a look at the trunk, and then we're going to drive though. Hello there. So we have plenty of space here in the back of the CR-V. Whoops, that's my audio equipment. Right this with the second row up, we have a 39.2 cubic feet of space, which is a lot for a compact SUV. I mean, if you compare it to other SUVs, because I always do this, I have so much room in here. And of course, we can put down the second row seats pretty easily by just pulling the levers here. First of all, 60-40 split, obviously, on the right, on the left, and now we have 75.8 cubic feet of space. We can't put them up from here, we just have to go around, but that's no issue. Only tiny little thing, I would like to have grocery bag hangers in here. For the next generation, make sure to put them in Honda, because they are great. And lastly, we do have this cover in here for our CR-V, the CR-V cover. That's kind of part of the $500 Canadian option for like all weatherproofing. We also have floor mats in here, and we of course have room for a spare tire up there. All right, that's all I wanted to talk about here. Then to get this back down, there we go. Elegant, as always. Let's go driving. Okay, now on the road here in the 2021 Honda CR-V Black Edition, and as always, we're going to start off with the launch. Traction control off. We're going to put transmission into sport. We don't have a sport mode or anything. Then we're going to see how quick the CR-V accelerates. Start to stop off. Brake torque 2.5. 20, 30, 40, 50. That's decent, actually. It's not super fast by any means, but considering we have a turbocharged 1.5 liter 4-cylinder producing just 190 horsepower and 179 pound-feet of torque sent through to all 4 wheels, this is actually pretty decent. The acceleration is quicker than you'd expect from the horsepower numbers. Okay, everything's back on. And yeah, honestly, power-wise, it is fine. We're gonna talk about that in a second. On the highway, like around 60 plus miles an hour, 100 kilometers plus, it can run out of steam a little bit in terms of power. So you have to just press the pedal a little more than you would like to. You still have enough power to like do everything you need to do, like overtaking or like taking a gap or something. But you do notice like the 190 horsepower at that point just kind of run out if you're at highest speeds. But what you might have noticed is that we do have a CVT here in the CR-V, and this is the first time ever that I don't dislike the the CVTs. Too many like 3-letter abbreviations and names and words, okay? The CTV and the CR-V is good, is what I'm meaning to say. And it's actually so good, in fact, that for the most part, you don't even notice that it's a CVT at all. And even when you step on the power, like we just did, you see it does imitate shifts a little bit. It's a CVT, it doesn't have to shift, right? But you saw like kind of like top out and then drop the revs a little. Doesn't need to do that. It does it because otherwise it would be very, very weird. A lot of people, including myself, don't like about CVTs that they feel so unnatural because they keep holding the same revs, which this occasionally does. Mostly in like the range of 40 to 60 kilometers an hour. If you're like accelerating steadily, then it does that occasionally. But most of the time it's really good. And even the city, it's probably at like 1500 RPM like 80% of the time. But you don't notice it. It's very nice. Like honestly, this is a good CVT, but let's see how quick it reacts. 50 kilometers an hour, and we're gonna floor it. And you can see it constantly lets the RPM rise like it would have an actual gear, but it doesn't. So they do some trickery here to make you feel like you're in you have like a regular transmission with multiple gears, and it works. Honestly, it is very nice. I keep saying honestly again. I'll try not to say it for the rest of the review. I like it a lot. I think the CVT does a great job of giving you a lot of power. It reacts pretty quickly to your inputs, and it keeps you in the power band pretty much all the time, which is important because 190 horsepower isn't really that much. It's not bad, but it isn't as much as some of the competition might have, especially like the terrain we've had about a year, like exactly a year ago actually. I think that one had like 250 horsepower. That is quite the difference that the CR-V has to make up. Driving wise, power wise, totally fine though. But let's stick to the driving topic, because this CR-V, I actually really like how this drives. I was surprised by that. I really, really enjoy how this drives, but bit of a thing to that. Let me just say it like that, because first of all, suspension test. Decent. The suspension itself is pretty decent, pretty good. Ride is comfy, but there's quite a bit of noise coming through. Same with wind. There's big potholes, right? I forgot this road was absolutely wrecked. So yeah, noise-wise, it's not perfect. There's quite a bit of wind noise, quite a bit of road noise coming through. Kind of to be expected because it's a little older, but that ties back into what I wanted to say. I like how this drives. But what I like about how it drives, how it kind of lacks refinement that some other cars in this segment have, and some other SUVs in this segment have. So everything's a little more direct, say. So you know, the increased like the increased noise kind of gives me a bit more of a connected feeling to the car. Then the brake pedal is very nice and linear. Like, you don't drive sporty or anything, but and you don't have to guess at any times when you're driving in the city, like how much braking power you get. It's very, very linear. Even coming up, like even from higher speeds, slowing down to city level streets or like stop signs, really nice and predictable. I like how the brake pedal feels. Very good. But what really surprised me here is the steering. I shall demonstrate. It is, especially if there we go. I did turn a little bit too fast for the first time around because I didn't have time to shift the weight. But the steering is so direct. I was so surprised by that. It's actually, it gives you like a lot of control over the movements of the car. Very surprised by that. It's still very comfy if you just want to drive it, you know, just like you just want to commute. But if you ever find yourself in a situation where you need to, I don't know, control the car, this is such a direct steering. It's not like vague or anything. It's not numb. It is numb, sorry, but it's not vague. So you really have an easy time controlling the movement of this CR-V, which I do like. And that's, so all these things kind of combined made me enjoy driving this a lot more than I anticipated. It reminded me a little bit of the used RAV4 we reviewed a couple of weeks ago as a filler video, because that also was a little more unrefined. It was a bit more vague, especially the brake pedal. But I don't know, this kind of has a lack of refinement. Has a bit of a benefit to me personally, at least. In an SUV, I see how most people probably don't like that and want to have a bit more refined, a bit more isolated. Totally get that. I agree. It's just when I get into a car like this and it's a little more raw, just a little more raw. It's just not a sports car. I enjoy that. I am able to enjoy that. That's all I mean to say. So it drives actually really well. I like how it drives. We talked about the ride quality, and we talked about the noise. One thing I failed to mention in the interior part though is kind of a really big gripe I have with the CR-V. Considering the driving position, like I said, the driving position itself, really good. I like it. But my knee keeps complaining about this CR-V because the center console has like this little bit that kind of sticks out of it. I don't know exactly what it's for, but there is a bit that sticks out. It's pretty big. I don't know, maybe like as big as my hand. And for some reason, it just keeps pushing into my knee. I don't know if I'm not even right on the edge or anything, but it just puts a lot of pressure on my knee, and it's hard, stretchy plastic, and it gets really uncomfortable. And that's the first time I've had this happen in any car. But as soon as I drive in here for like half an hour or more, my knee gets uncomfortable because it's just constantly has pressure applied to it, even though I'm just leaning onto that. So yeah, that's not very nice, isn't it? This won't be fixed for the 2022 model here, obviously. There we go. I had to go there because that guy was going a little faster than he's supposed to. But for 2023, if you keep having like such a big center stack Honda, please put padding on there, because otherwise it gets really uncomfortable for the knee. And yeah, let's sum it up with tech, because tech is something that I was also very surprised by in this Honda CR-V, because it has a lot of tech and really, really good driving assist actually. So you got like a full-on safety suit. You have like blind spot monitoring. You have automatic emergency braking and all that. You have lane centering assist even, which I was very surprised by. And I like the lane centering and lane keep assist. Let's start with the lane keep. Lane keep assist in this one is probably the best lane keep I've had in any car, full stop. Because normally in a car, if you kind of you drift out of your lane on the highway, what it does, it'll steer over, and then most of the time you start kind of bouncing back and forth. This one, actually, even in a turn, it starts steering you back into the lane and then centers you in the lane. So it kind of counteracts its own movement in the end. So even if you were to let go of the steering wheel, don't ever let go of the steering wheel on the highway. I'm just hypothetically talking here. The car would just automatically send you in the lane, even just the lane keep assist, and it is very nice. It's very good, and it's a lot better, because normally I don't like lane keep assist because they just interfere with driving, and this one actually has somewhat of a purpose. So good job, Honda. And then we have a lane centering assist, which, well, actively centers you in the lane and steers for you all the time. Not that advanced. It's probably somewhere around the level of Nissan, so one of the worst ones I've tested. It's still a nice system to have, don't get me wrong. I'd rather have it than not have it. But the same issue that I had in the Nissan is that the steering wheel kind of locks in a little. So, you know, it's steering, but it's not Hyundai Kia level or Volvo level or whatever, where it's like doing a fantastic job and you basically have to never interfere. This one you have to correct in like sharper turns or higher speed turns a lot on the highway, which is okay. But then there's a resistance because it kind of doesn't want you to jump out of it. So every time you need to adjust, you need to like overcome like a resistance and get against that, and yeah, that kind of makes me not want to use these systems, because in the end I just work more as if I would just steer all the time. So good system generally. Just remove the weird resistance and inputs if I want to correct something. It's an assist, it's not a fully autonomous system. Make it drive like an assist. That's it, I think. Yes. Wow, pothole. So many potholes here. I don't know what happened. I don't know if they drove like tanks to this, but there's so many potholes. Well, why don't we just finish it all up? I'm sorry, I'm super busy this week. and I'm like kind of rushing through this a little bit. So I hope it doesn't feel disjointed. Anyhow, it's gonna be better next year. It's gonna be better all next year. I'll have a bit more time. But let's sum it all up in the final thoughts. Okay, final thoughts on the 2021 Honda CR-V Black Edition. And after just driving it for a week, I can see why so many people like to buy it. And we can't compare it to one vehicle because I've driven a bunch of compact SUVs this year. Unfortunately, all of them except for the CR-V have been luxury vehicles. I have like a limited frame of reference, but exactly a year ago, like I said, we did drive the GMC Terrain, so I can compare it to that a little bit. But don't you worry, we will drive in 2022 the refreshed CX-5, the Hyundai Tucson. We're gonna drive probably the new CR-V and a bunch of others. So if you like want to have more comparison, they're coming. But comparing it to the GMC Terrain, that was the SLT, I don't know, that was a mid-trim level. Price was about the same. This aspect is $46,313 Canadian. US dollar price is somewhere around here, and that is with like roughly $500 on top for the like the floor mats and all that, right? Spoke about that. Anyhow, I'm not gonna compare styling. That's subjective. I generally like both of them. Interior-wise, the CR-V has the nicer materials, but the Terrain had the better infotainment. Then the CR-V had the better driving tech, but the Terrain had the better engine, more power. Just simply beat it out on that. But then the CR-V again has more storage. So it's kind of like it's kind of a battle here and there. Overall, I'd give it just a little bit the edge to the CR-V. I just think it kind of ekes out the Terrain a little bit. Both really good cars though in the end. And yeah, no, honestly, I like it. It's always a little tough to compare vehicles at the end of their life cycle because most of the time they're just behind. And from my experience with Hyundai, Kia, and Mazda, I am pretty sure that at the moment I'd probably take a CX-5 or a Tucson over the CR-V, but I haven't driven them, so I can't tell. But once Honda comes back next year with an updated, well, completely new CR-V, that might look completely different. Anyhow, TLDR, I liked it, and I can totally see why people buy it. You know, there's no fancy bits on it, but it just works. Anyhow, yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell because we upload reviews every single week. More reviews coming, and we've got 3 preview videos about this CR-V where you can get more of an in-depth look at it. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked it, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Thank you, and goodbye.